Truth is setting us free. This is a podcast for those of us who want to be set free. Is that you? The basis for most religions is the practice of spiritual principles. However, in the name of religion, wars are being waged across the planet. The intention of this podcast is to take a step above religion by creating a personal relationship with Spirit, or the God of your understanding. These are some of the principles that are setting me and others free. Principles like peace, joy, gratitude, acceptance, patience, tolerance, forgiveness, compassion, and empathy, just to name a few. See if you can identify yourself in the stories that follow and how some of the most inspirational people in my life are practicing these principles and being set free. See if you can be set free through the practice of spiritual principles. I invite you to enjoy what follows. Good evening, Roy. How are you tonight?
I'm good. I'm good.
Wonderful to see you. I'm so grateful that you've taken the time to discuss a principle that I really find valuable in my life today, and that is selfless service. Wow.
Yes.
I see you as the perfect embodiment of this particular principle, and it has been inspiring. I thank you so much for bringing some light to this topic. And so I want to first allow you to introduce yourself
Uh-huh.
to the community and let them know what you mean when we talk about selfless service. And then I'll give a brief definition of selfless service and see if you resonate with it. And then I'll have some questions
Okay.
to follow that.
Okay.
Take it away.
So I'm pretty much my whole life actually these days, it hasn't always been, but these days my life definitely revolves around service. I have what we call a God or a higher power in my life. And I have been through some stuff in life, that brings me to a place where, even though I didn't know it at the time when I was doing it, that um, this is what God's will for me was, to do for others, as I would like others to do for me. And I've been growing up with some spiritual principles. And so as a result, I'm able to find peace with myself and also with my community. So I can do something for someone else, and no one will know the value of selfless service unless they do that themselves. So I'm really, really grateful for the life I have. And I'm just thinking that, when you get to be my age, I'm coming up on 70 years old this year. When you get to be this age, there must be something that you can offer or something that you can give to others, and especially something that doesn't, it's not money, it's just an experience with life itself, that you can give to someone else, that someone might say, hey, I really like what this person is doing. That's my thing, you know. So, and I don't know where you want me to go with introducing myself here, but
Well, where are
I'm,
you from?
I'm
Because people are
uh,
going to want to know what is that accent they're hearing?
oh, okay. So definitely, I am Jamaican, and I left Jamaica a long time ago, and my intent when I left the island was to get to North America and go back to school and get me a career and start living life. I was young when I came here. I just talk about getting to 70 years old. Um, but actually, when I did leave Jamaica, I was just before my 17th birthday. So that was pretty young, and I was doing all this on my own. It wasn't like there was some parental guidance when once I get to my destination, which was Toronto, Canada. It was just friends. There were other friends who, were around the same age group, and our whole intent was to do better. And we have family members who wanted that for us. And so we got an opportunity to leave and we migrate. Yeah. And very, very, very grateful today looking back at that journey from Jamaica to Toronto, living in a local community, because in big cities here in North America there are many different types of communities, and there is a West Indian community, I should say. So there is people from all the islands um, that are in these large urban centers, like Toronto, for example. And I imagine the same is true in New York and other eastern cities in this United States. So we got there and we bond together because it was different, and we needed to assimilate the culture that we were growing up in, and we did. And I think we probably ended up contributing some um, to a better city than what we when we first got there, because we were the laborers, and those of us who want to go on to achieve something better or different in life, we did that. We went on to do that kind of stuff. And me, myself, after I left Jamaica and I got to Toronto, um, the first thing I needed to do was to make sure that I could support myself. So getting a job was easy back then too. I left there in the 70s, early 70s, and I got there, and it was easy to get into educational programs, and so that's what I did. Ultimately, in the end, I eventually got to a trade school and got me a journeyman certificate, that says I'm qualified to do uh, some professional work, and I did that. You know, of course, I'm going to talk a little bit about recovery too. So maybe later on down the line, because that's where I come to understand what it means to do service, period. Just do service, and then not just do service, but do selfless service, because sometimes we do something and we're expecting something in return for what we do, but life has a way of showing up. And if you are keen on what you are doing, it helps you to define the situations that show up for you, and how do you get through these things, or how do you live with dignity? Let's put it like that, So, um, yeah, I don't know. I got to Canada and I did well in the beginning, and I was young, as I said, and so there was a whole new world of adventures that was open to me, and I got in there, and of course, some negative stuff showed up, but like some people, they would want to change that. If they could live their life over again, they would want to change that. But I learned that everything that has happened for me um, to get to the place that I'm at today was meant to be. Because as a result of my travel, my journey with life, I was able to change, and I was able to see some things about other people, how other people live their life, and gravitate towards those things that makes me feel comfortable or would help me to feel whole. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I started off with the church in Canada, and it's local Jamaican folks in church, and then do other community service. Whether it's when I first went to Canada, it was about Caribana, which is a cultural thing for West Indians to get to Caribana, and we have a good time. It's all over the place now. I'm in San Francisco, so there is the Latino cultural parade and stuff like that that happens here, amongst all the many different cultures, which is, of course, a part of this boiling pot, that we talk about, and helps to bring unity because not only were we trying to assimilate into a culture that we didn't know anything about, other people were also looking at our culture. They've been given an opportunity to see where we're from and how we live. So, yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Uh,
I think
uh,
that's good, Roy.
huh?
You've given us a flavor of
Okay,
of who you
okay,
are, you know. So I want to move on with a just a brief definition, but I think you've covered just about everything that's in it. It says selfless service is the act of doing good deeds or performing acts of kindness without seeking personal gain or recognition, but rather to help others and the world around us. You seem to resonate with that idea.
yes, most definitely.
Is there anything you would add or take away from?
So, when it started, I mean, at first, just doing things in the community. I've done a lot of stuff. And I have to talk about recovery because I'm one of the people who are recovering from life on life terms and a set thinking in my mind, which was very selfish, very self-centered, and for me to get to a place, and that's why I don't regret the things that I have been through in life because it exposes me to um, what I can do to feed my spirit. And a huge part of feeding my spirit is selfless service,
Yeah.
is um, I wanted was to talk about generosity because, I have known generosity in terms of it coming from other people to me, and I don't know, they will tell me that, well, it's because you do things for other people and that makes me feel good, but
And it's
I
also
had to
true.
walk. Huh?
And it's also true.
Well, okay, okay. That's for somebody else to say, because things change after a while. My life really took a turn and it went downhill, and this is after going to school and getting that journeyman certificate and started to make the best fun money that I had ever known in my life, as a young guy. And and uh, whether it's the scene that was available at the time, which is going to nightclubs or hanging out, that kind of stuff, introduced new things into my life. And so my life really went downhill for a while. And well, gradually, I have to say, some days when I think back, I felt really good the fact that I left home so young and come to this new place and was able to bond with other people who are we all were looking for something, and for the most part found it, being a responsible, productive member of society. We were able to get to that place, and start to feel comfortable. But the turn I'm talking about is when um, I felt almost invincible, like nothing can touch me. I'm this, and sure enough, I created my own problems. And so life went downhill. And I left Toronto in 1980 and I came to this country and lived down in Florida briefly, down in Key West. And it was easy back in the 70s to get jobs there in the US. And a matter of fact, there was many US companies that were advertising in Canada for workers. And so I was fortunate when I came here, there was work available and ready for me, excuse me. And Florida was just a little bit, people always ask me, how is it you're from Jamaica and you're talking about Florida being hot? But there was a different heat that you experience in Florida than in Jamaica. So I didn't, and for them, and I've been living in Toronto, which has all four seasons, for a while, and I started to like not the extreme weather, whether it's they talk about Chicago as the windy city, Buffalo with so much snow. It's not the wind, it's not the snow, but it's the combination of the climate, that I got used to. And Florida just didn't. And another thing with Florida was, the funds I was making being productive in Canada, I wasn't making that in Florida because there's a lot of immigrants in Florida. So even though I enjoyed it while I was there, I decided that I would go back to Toronto. But on my way back to Toronto, I decided to stop here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And of course, I don't know, I'm probably still on my way back, but I've been here for some 44 years.
Roy, I've got
Um,
some questions though that I want to ask you as it relates to how this conversion has taken place in your life and what that transition looked like. You know,
okay.
um, first question: how does selfless service fit into the larger framework of spiritual principles? Where does selfless service lie within the field of principles?
Okay, so first of all, I have to look at spiritual principles because for a minute there, I had no clue what spiritual principles were all about. So I had to walk the path, like I said, that I walk in order to get to the place I'm at today. And in falling down on my face or being challenged by life and wasn't able to step up to the plate, I ended up in some bad places. And to turn that around, I had to seek help. And there were people there to help me. There were people who had been down that path and was able to turn me around. Now I'm talking specifically about recovery,
Mhm.
because I don't know. Um, there was people going through changes in life that I hadn't experienced, and so when I got to that place, there was somebody already there, and I kind of grew up in recovery, and a big part of recovery is about spiritual principles and selfless service. I don't think that people could really be paid for service. This kind of service that they provided me is something that you have to do to help other people to change, you know. And so I saw all of that. And then it was my time to give back. You know, the people who were doing this kind of stuff were, seemed to me like they were having fun, you know, and so that was the change in my life and my perspective in terms of selfless service. You know, it started to turn around with me getting into recovery.
Would you say that selfless service is innate quality or can it be learned? Is it inside of us already or is
I
it
think
something that needs to be taught by others?
I think it's already inside of us, but it sometimes take some kind of energy to bring that out. And also, I want to say in both ways because it is something that you can learn. I think if you hang out with certain people and they are doing the kind of things that you like to do, especially if it's positive, you are probably gonna want to learn how to live the way they live. So for me, it's a combination. It's in us already, you know, but some of us don't know how to do that. Um,
And so
and
you
so
were,
we,
or were you influenced to bring it out of yourself? Were
yes,
there people?
yes, more of it.
Hmm.
Yes.
And so
Um,
is it true though that you can be influenced in any direction, but this is one that you chose? Was this a
exactly,
conscious choice?
exactly. It's about choice. And sometimes you need to grow up a bit before you can get to that place. And once you get to that place, then you start to be watchful, you know, because you don't, if you get, for me at least, if you get to a place where you are able to um, find the benefits that comes from doing service to other people or in your community, you know, it's something you don't want to stop because it's a good feelings, you know, and money can't buy it and nobody can give it to you. So you use the word choose. It's something I choose to do, you know, and at first it was about me, you know, but then I realized that it extends, you know, and my intentions were, you know, to just take care of Roy, but I realized that when I take care of other people, I'm also taking care of Roy, you know. So and then again, like I said earlier, you know, recovery gave me a huge opportunity, a huge leeway in service, you know, because now I am at a place where I have had some experience and I can return um, that favor to other people who are going through the same thing that I went through, you know. So it's a part of me that something brought out. And I'm very, very grateful and happy about that.
How can we cultivate selfless service in our daily lives? How can we go about that? What did you do to cultivate it?
So, first of all, I learned there is always something that we can do for someone else, you know, and then there is a sometimes we're doing something for someone else without even recognizing that we are. It's just about me living my life, the best life I possibly can, you know. And like I was saying, you know, I don't have kids, you know, so it's not like I need to be a role model, but I do need to be a role model. I need to be that citizen that someone will just say, hey, he's doing such a great job. You know, I like the way this guy lives his life, you know. And so it's not about my relatives or any specific group of people. It's just about life in general, you know. Yeah.
Can small acts of kindness also be considered selfless service?
Oh, yes, definitely. Most definitely. You know, there are some. one-on-one situations, that are small, because no one sees and no one knows about it, that is definitely acts of kindness, And again, I don't know, maybe some of it, the things I've been through in life brings that out of me, to be courteous, to be courteous to that small acts of kindness to other people, to say, oh, you want to sit? I use public transportation. So, do you want to sit, and let somebody else sit if I can? I'm not in a position right now to really give up my seat. But this has my situation has only been about 2 years or so, but prior to that, man, I started to grow up. And it's those small acts of kindness that you're talking about that actually become the backbone of how my life is today.
Here's another question. What is the difference between selfless service and charity or Voluntarian?
How do I look at the difference between selfless service, charity, and I kind of see them as one in the same because they are uh, both set up to be supportive of something positive or aiding um, the community or aiding people. I don't really look at charity. I think comes from organizations that are set up for stuff like that. On a personal level, whatever I do is about selfless service.
Mhm.
And I can actually tell you that, whether it's people in treatment who are learning to live differently, or whether it's just going to do outreach at places like Glide or St. Anthony's, those were places that I had to go to seek help. Some people might say it's charity or but I had been to those places and those places set me up to come back and give back, so I don't know.
I know you've also had a lot of experience working in the prisons and the jails. You know,
Right.
that, is a step above as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
That goes beyond my idea of selfless service and into more, I don't know, what would you call it, philanthropy or altruism, where we're really seeing deeply into the experience of other people and giving them a light, essentially,
Yes.
you know.
Yes. So I'm fortunate that my experience with recovery um, opened me up to the many different ways in which I can be of service to others. And so I don't know, I've done going into hospitals and institutions, many different institutions for, oh my God, especially the jailhouse for almost 27 years. I've gone to the San Francisco County and City Jail, and I've been allowed to run a subcommittee for the recovery program that brings people into those places, and it's funny when you are doing something for others, it's like other people see it, and are offering you more than our opportunity, bring you new opportunities, and sometimes it's not really about that. But what I can say about the different places, that whether it's in detoxes, because I've been to those places before, or treatment facilities, or the jailhouse. I've also been to St. Quentin um, over in Marin. Um, to do that kind of stuff, and then to see those people who are in those, not just the clients or the inmates that are in those places, but the staff, reach out to you and ask you if you would like to be a part of what they do. Unfortunately, I can't deal with new people, so I continue to go, but it's a limited amount of time that I get to spend with them, and I just enjoy it. I enjoy it, and I go there, and it also teaches me that I don't have to end up in places like that as a client. I can always go there to give support and to talk about the opportunities that are there for people who don't need to go to those places and have to return as a client. They can turn their lives around, introduce them to organizations that help them to do that kind of stuff, and they can turn their lives around and then return to places like that and do service, give back. The bottom line with a lot of service for me is, I always see service as a manifestation from self, because there are times when I'm going through something else, and what I have learned in my experience or my journey in recovery is that, if I focus on helping someone else, my burdens is not overwhelming. I'm not drowning in whatever is going on with me. I get to reach out to some other people and it alleviate the pressure on me. That's something I think people have to grow into or learn as they go along. But yeah, yeah.
So, how can we avoid being attached to the outcomes of our selfless service? What are ways that we can keep ourselves from falling off the deep end, so to speak?
I think do more service. Do more. It's not everybody, because sometimes service is a big word. It's not just about the people who have been down the path that you have been down, so you don't have to fall off the precipice, so to speak. There's always something you can do for someone else that won't let you go to that place where you end up drowning in sorrow or whatever emotions, that's showing up for you. So, yeah.
Is it still considered self-service if you tell other people about it, about the good deeds that you do?
No, if you're looking for a claim, if you I mean, if you're looking for praise or acknowledgement, for what you do, then I don't see how it is selfless. I think people should do what they do that is good and let others see that and decide for themselves. I don't have to tell anybody what I do. I don't. And, to be honest with you, because we're human beings, sometimes that's how we started out. But if we grow out of it to where we benefit when we reach out to other people or when we do something for other people, it's something that I can't give, no one can give. It's a feelings, it's a feelings, it's a joy, that you have to experience on your own. So no, I don't tell people what I do. I'm so glad I don't, because um, the things that other people have done for me, if I was to run around and bask in it, what is that all about?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I
So,
enjoy.
you
Go
know,
ahead.
I have to admit that when I first got involved in service, I didn't understand service. I thought when I was serving myself,
Yeah.
I was serving others indirectly.
Uh-huh.
And maybe I was, but my
Yes.
attitude was real different. It was about the accolades. And
Yes.
when I first started to realize what service was really about, I thought that was the best thing since sliced cheese, because I
Yes.
had been um, neglected, let's say. I grew up in an
Uh-huh.
environment where there was a lot of violence and substance use. And, we were told to be seen and not heard, you know.
Hmm.
And I really was starving for attention when I first came in. I totally identify with um, uh, not having to have the service today be selfish
Yeah.
because I now understand,
Right.
what kind of many of the people that I came into contact with were very selfish. And those were my role models for such a long time.
Yeah.
Well, and it took people like you, to help me see past those experiences and recognize the joy, really, of doing service. It's not a burden today anymore. I
Right.
get to do service. It is something that has been made available to me because of the people that I have come into contact with and have
Yeah.
chosen to follow.
Yes. Yes.
And it makes all the difference in the world. I'm so much happier today,
Yes.
and so less resentful and fearful.
Yes.
And I understand that when I am helping other people, I really am helping myself, especially
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
when I'm feeling overwhelmed. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I got you.
it's a
I got
gift.
you.
Yeah.
I always say that, again, I have a higher power or a God in my life. Not everybody can say that, but I still find that there are people who find that they are something that is much bigger or larger than them. And it's kind of like when I first got into recovery, I would get down on my knees because I was, the desperation that place that just I had known something better than what was going on with me in active addiction, you know. And I yearn for that better thing that I used to know, and thank God I didn't just settle for that, getting clean and then just settle for going back because I had talked about this. It has been my intention all along to just um, get back to a place where, things like arrogance and grandiosity runs my life. And those were the very things that run me into the ground, you know. Um, so it was just so amazing to come here and find that, there is so much joy in doing something for somebody else, you know. And it just started out at first with me having to kneel down. I had to go through all of that. That's not where I'm at today. Today I have an open conversation with the God of my understanding or my higher power. I can have this conversation. It's ongoing, and I can have this conversation at any time,
Mhm.
and thank God for the centuries that was posted along the way for me to see, you know, or to guide me back, you know.
I like
We have
how you said earlier that when you do selfless service, other people see it and they bring new opportunities to you
yes,
because it becomes it, a magnet,
it's an
really.
attraction.
Yes. And people bring things to you that expand on the ideas that you may have already started and not even
Yes,
realize that, there are those around us who actually want to participate. That
yes,
has been my experience,
yes.
too. And I've seen that with you as well, how when you get started and you're walking. We say we love the people that not only talk the talk but walk the walk.
Yes, yes,
And when you're walking the walk, you get, that is the recognition, that um, is shown to the rest of the community as an
yes,
example of what is possible in their own lives. You know?
yes.
So, what is the relationship between selfless service and compassion?
Oh my God. I mean, uh, the way I live today, or what should I say, the program that drives my energy and my love for life today is is um is is just something that shows a lot of compassion for me, and so I get to give that back. I get my experience in life has been such that I can feel someone else's pain when they are going through something, because life isn't always generous to us. Life isn't always kind to us. I mean, I've been through. I mentioned 2 years ago. This is January, so 2 years ago in 2022, I was in the hospital for 5 months. About 2.5 months, I was in a coma, where they pretty much opened me up like an animal and, put me back together. I'm not the same as I used to be, but I'm alive, and these are people who show me what it means to be compassionate, and I'm talking about the professional folks that was there. They don't have the issues or the problems that I have. It's just a part of their nature that they want to do something for someone else, you know, and I benefited from that, and it just drives me to want to do for others myself where I can, and I have that compassion, to do for others, and I get so much joy out of my life today, man. It would be a shame if you get anyone who gets to be my age can't say that, they have, life is good. I love this experiment called life, I mean, it's God's experiment, but I'm a big part of it, with the small, minute things that I do, and to feel someone else's pain, and to reach out to them, that's a compassion. That's a compassion for me, you know.
Roy, when you were in the hospital and in the coma, there was a great deal of concern in our community.
Yes,
And
yes,
when you began to come out of the coma, and people really, the people that love you are far and wide. And
yes, yes.
what I noticed was it was difficult for you to receive the love that that we were extending to you. And I just want you to say a little bit about that because, you know, I've been in that position before too, but I had to become sweetly reasonable. That
Yes.
was the term that people used um, early in my recovery. I'm also on that same path. Um, but tell us a little bit about the humility
Oh
that.
my God. Oh my God. It's not like I didn't know humility before, okay?
Oh,
I mean, the way I was living my life, and it was so inappropriate to just be existing rather than living, because there is a difference between the two, you know. And And I was always able to take care of myself. Like I mentioned, I left Jamaica, I lived in Canada, and it wasn't just like going down to Florida. For a long time, we would travel, a group of us would travel, whether we go to Montreal or to Ottawa, or we come south of the border to New York or um, Chicago or Detroit. I also lived at someplace there. But I had always, always, always been um, self-supporting, take care of myself. And I was also there for other people, namely my family, my relatives. I have three other siblings, so I was always there for them. And then there was some other people who I come to know when I got to Toronto, who we were great friends, we ran together, etc. I was able to be there for them. And I think that's some of the stuff that really got me walking around with my nose in the air, etc. And this is before I come to know anything about selfless service. You know, some of it was happening, but the acknowledgement of it wasn't there. I didn't have to think about it when I got and it has always been like that, whether it's through active addiction and then coming back into recovery. Was I was so desperate for change, and it was very, very humbling, okay, to go to the Goodwill store to get clothing. And it's funny because when I look back at it right now, it was such a welcoming time in my. It was better than any place. Oh my God, man. It was better than any place that I had ever been in my life. And then so that was just one humbling experience that I have had. And then and then the hospital thing happened, because I'm somebody who uh, I've traveled just like you have, Maurice, and we've done some of this together too. We've traveled, and I have always owned my own. Even in active addiction, I had always owned my own. And then here I am in this hospital. I I woke up while they were scraping the bone on my femur, or my leg. It is scraped down to the very bone, and because of I was at get together this Saturday, and someone who said to me, Roy, I know you were sick and really sick, but I didn't know exactly what was wrong with you. And so he said, so tell me a little bit, and I was able to tell him I had an appendix broke, and apparently I did it is supposed to be a painful thing from what I heard from other people, but I didn't feel any pain, until it was too late. And so the thing ran down, and it's a flesh-eating poison that's in this appendix thing. And so it took me out of commission. And I think there's some of the being in a coma was induced in order for them to do the work that they needed to do to clean me up and bring me back. But I'm telling you, I had to explain to him that kind of stuff. So it's good that I'm able to put this out. The rest of my challenges is nothing in comparison to this, because I remember um, waking up, and of course, it's a tail end of the COVID thing. So they couldn't have a lot of people coming in there, and I remember coming to my senses because I think they knocked me out most of the time. They stripped both my legs. One, they had to take the flesh off. The other one, they had to strip it to use the skin to cover or graft the one that they took the flesh away from. Um, and I would wake up, and I'm telling you, man, God, I'm telling you, there is no mistake. God put me amongst the right people. They were compassionate, they were caring, they were giving, they were showing me
Because you deserve it.
all
And
the love that, and I am so very grateful. And that, again, as you were saying, it's not easy. It's not easy to accept, but I have learned something else, that this was my higher power or the God of my understanding working through other people. I don't know how it come about, whether it's because I have done some service, whether people love me, whatever it is. Today I am feeling a little bit better about accepting what has been given, and I needed it. That's the other part I need to say. I need people, people came to my rescue when I needed help. Oh my God. Oh my God. So, I can't believe I'm sitting here talking to you like this.
I can. I
Oh,
know.
oh my God. I was always wondering, what is it Maurice want to talk about? He's got some blog or something. I've never done nothing like this, just to and then you have me highlighted here because to talk about what I have done, but the program I belongs to is a program that talks about we, because I could not do what I have done. I would not have learned what I have learned if I was on my own, and nothing against people who go to church, but uh, this organization that I belong to today has allowed me to participate in so many ways that is empowering, you know, uh, to me as well as to the community. I'm telling you, I am in recovery on purpose. Okay, I'm not here. Uh, I am here because this is my life. This is my way of life. And maybe when I first came, it was just by accident. I needed help, and so I reached out. But today, I am in recovery on purpose. Okay, I'm not just here. This is my choice, and it's been working for me. And I mean, you're a part of it, and so many other people, man, have allowed me, has shown me how to be humble, how to
Here's,
accept, how
here's,
to
a-
receive.
here's another question. Is it better to focus on service efforts on individuals or in our immediate community or on the larger societal or global issues?
So why don't I say all of the above?
Okay.
All of it gives us opportunity to 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 give and to reciprocate. All of it, gives us this opportunity. And I am just so grateful that I'm a little bit more knowledgeable about how to hold on to the good things in life. And it's not the material stuff. It's not money. We talk about those things um, in my program, that we can be successful, with money, without money, without a partner, without the approval of other people. We can be successful. We just need to make sure that when we wake up, we start putting one foot in front of the other and move forward, you
What
know.
does success
So,
mean to Roy?
um, So I just talk about what the program kind of give us an idea of what success can be if we stay per se clean and get through a day or two or whatever amount of time that you've been getting through. But success for me today is a combination. It's a combination of factors. It's about living a day at a time. It's about making sure that I continue to do most of the stuff that I've been doing since I got clean. Things have changed for me and it's all positive, and I'm grateful that other people are showing me that I have contributed. So it feeds my spirit, and not my ego, but my spirit, because I also have feelings around, and sometimes I have to wonder, do I do enough? Do I do enough? And now that we've gone through the illness part and seeing all these people who showed up for me, I feel like I need to reciprocate. But my sponsor told me that you don't need to do, you just need to do the things that you have always been
Always
doing.
done. Exactly. You do more than most. Let me just put it like that. Um, and it's a whole nother level of living. The success for me means to be a part of the world, to be connected,
Yes,
and to know the value that I can bring to the world um, as a spiritual being, as a human being manifesting itself um, through these spiritual principles that I practice.
yeah,
As I tune into these principles, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, but the spiritual part of the human experience are the principles that I get to practice.
yes,
Those are the things that I get to extend into the larger community,
yes,
from individuals to global, you know. And
yes,
I've had an opportunity to have an effect in many different places, in the world. But what I know is it is powered by spirit. It is coming through me.
yes.
So I don't let the ego get the
Right.
credit anymore.
I know.
Because it wants to take credit for every little thing.
Yes.
You know,
But you don't even, well, I mean, we're talking, so it's okay. The conversation is that, you don't even have to say that to me because I have seen you. I have, oh my God. And it just, thank you for everything you say to me, but I have seen you and I am so glad that we met, that we get to grow together, that we get to just talk about this is not something I would talk about, selfless service, unless I see it written on an informational pamphlet or something like that. It's not something, but here we're having a conversation, and you're saying this to me, a few other people may have, and thank God my ego isn't running wild with all of it.
yeah,
I'm saying I am just very, very grateful that I've been given an opportunity to choose and that I choose um, what makes my value system. And I also, get to live at the level of my need.
yes.
Not very many people get that.
And be
I
happy at living
and
at.
be happy. That's what I'm talking about. The level of my need. It's oh my God.
What
It
kind of
took a
life
while for
is it
me.
when you have everything that you need? When you have everything that you need, there's nothing outside of you that can stop you from doing whatever it is that has been given to you by
Right.
God. You know,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
the fear that I dealt with before coming um, was huge, and it was woven throughout, every fabric of my life.
Yeah.
And today, what I get is a degree of fearlessness because I understand the power that has put me in this position. It is still with me, you know. It was with
Yes.
me all along, it's with me now, and it will be,
Yes. Yes.
a day at a time, a moment at a time,
I
you
can
know.
totally relate.
Yes, yes.
And I'm so also grateful for, the tools that is surrounding me, so and because I tap into, just when I surrendered to something new and different that I didn't know, and you talk about fear a lot, I'm surrendering to something that is out of my control, and in some instance, it's about the God of my understanding to lead me and give me guidance, um, and life start and I grab a hold of that and start to choose the right thing to do, you know, uh, um, because others were doing it and they
Yes.
were smiling. Their value system was such, and I had to take a look at mine. If I want to be around these people, I need to do some of the stuff they are doing, you know. And so I don't know, man. I don't know, Maurice. I'm just
I've had to depend on the kindness of strangers. My family threw
yes,
me away
yes,
um, years ago. And
yes.
when I reached that point of desperation and I looked around, um, and I prayed that prayer, God, save me.
Yes,
And higher power answered that prayer. It was in retrospect that I looked back to see that that prayer was answered, and it was answered through perfect strangers.
yes, yes, yes,
I
yes.
was embraced by God's love, but it didn't come from where I thought it would.
Mhm.
Didn't come from where my ego told me it would,
Right, right,
you know.
right.
And so I know that we have that in common, you know, and it's a lesson that I've had to learn the hard way. But
Yeah,
I'm so grateful,
yeah.
that I've had the opportunity to do that. Um, Roy, how does selfless service relate to the concepts such as karma or intentionality?
Wow, that's a big one. I don't know. Um, uh, uh,
Did
it,
you
it,
do you think we brought any of this onto ourselves or
No, and that's one of the other reasons why I always think I mean I read this in literature, that we each and every person has to walk. Some of us um, don't accept the help, the spiritual help, and that brings up the word grace. I think I heard President the first time I actually focused on I've been hearing that in church all the time, but I never really know what it meant. And then I heard President Obama talk about grace, and he says grace is an undeserved gift. You know, and everybody has got grace. You have to reach out and recognize it and go after it for yourself. So in a sense, I am very, very grateful that I had a little intent, even though my motives were selfish, but the pain that I was feeling uh, got me to reach out to somebody else, So I don't know about karma and the other word that you use. I just know that I'm grateful that I surrendered to the pain, and you said it earlier, ask God for help, and I had to prove that I wanted, and that's the grace part of it. I I think I don't know if the first time I work, I'm in a 12-step program, and the first time I worked the steps, I got to step two, and my sponsor asked me if I understand the step. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity, and I said yes. It says that God will restore me to sanity, and he said no, it did not say that. I mean, I had just come from a chaotic life where my head really wasn't processing anything positive. I'm looking for help. So how am I to understand that? And he said to me, the operative word in this step is that God could. Say, God could restore you to sanity. But you've got to want to be restored to sanity.
Yes.
And then you have to show the God of your understanding that you want that. And I think I went through without knowing any of that kind of stuff, without him explaining any of that kind of stuff. I was grabbing out for whatever I could hold on to so that I don't continue to just exist as this person who left Jamaica and come to North America, that I start to live. And a part of living is for me to give back to the
Hmm.
community that has allowed me to, you know, to contribute,
Hmm.
the community that embraced me, and I'm still doing that, Maurice. I'm still doing that. But yeah, I'm very grateful that I'm able to reach out, and that these days when I look around, the people who I'm surrounded by are all people who know me. I was telling somebody that I went to a meeting and all the people in the meeting were white, right?
Hmm.
And this is early recovery. I was still in like a shelter, right? And I go in there and they would all turn around and they looked at me, right? And I'm like, wow, you know. But thank God the mindset I had at that time didn't continue. I keep going, and over a period of time, my head stopped processing that kind of stuff. I
Hmm.
just see myself as one of the people who were there, and we all were there to support each other,
Hmm.
and that's just so valuable,
Yeah.
so I can go any place,
Hmm.
you know, and feel comfortable,
Yes.
you know.
I'm getting ready to travel to Asia next month,
Uh-huh.
and for the first time. And the first thing I did was to look to see if we were present, if the fellowship was present. And it
Uh-huh.
is.
Yeah, we are, yeah.
So, so I know that I'm in like Flint, you
Yeah.
know. Oh my God. So does selfless service require sacrifice, or can we find balance between serving others and taking care of ourselves?
Yes, we on both occasions. Sometimes it requires sacrifice, and I have made some, and know that it's okay to make certain sacrifice, because the feelings again that it generates. It's not like I'm making a sacrifice and I'm gonna be out on the streets. It's not like that. It's like it's storming, it's raining outside, and I have a commitment to go to a facility, and I'm thinking, well, you know what? I don't think I want to go down there because of the storm outside. But I have this other part of my life that if I wasn't where I'm at today, I wouldn't think about the storm. I would just go. So yes, sometimes it requires us doing sacrifice. And what was the second part of that? Sacrifice,
Taking care of ourselves.
and it doesn't compromise me taking care of myself. A matter of fact, it's a part of what makes me feel good about myself. I think once people tap into that, those of us who have tapped into that, um, uh, taking care of ourselves, and find that when we do for others, we are actually doing for ourselves, when people get to that place, it doesn't stop. We know how to find balance. We know how to find, well, I can't say we, everyone, but I know myself and a lot of people, so to speak, and it'd be a shame to get to my age and can't find some balance or be able to give back what has been so freely given to me. That's the other thing is, I have this old sponsor who I miss him from time to time, like I says, hey, did nobody come up to the door and welcome me and says, welcome and all of that kind of stuff. And he says, well, okay, that's what you need to do. You need to make sure no one says that, no, somebody didn't come up to them. You reach out to them, you know? And he just makes so much sense, man. I'm telling you, Maurice, I am very, very grateful for friends because the people who I have today are friends.
Mm-hmm.
They are friends. And the others, we might not be quite as friendly, but I get to show them love, you know?
And show love from a distance.
Yes,
I can
yes,
see the God in everyone that I meet. Some people are conscious of it, and others are not. You know, and I see through the behavior, um, like I saw in my own behavior. You know, we engage a process that exposes all of those places, those dark places within us.
yeah,
But they get to be brought to the light. The exposure is
yeah,
to the light.
yeah,
And that's where the freedom
yes,
comes.
yes.
Because now I have the ability, I'm no longer wandering in the dark aimlessly.
Right.
I now have um, sight.
Yes, yes.
That saying, I once was blind, but now I
Yes,
can
but now I can
see.
see.
Oh my God.
Yes, yes,
I'm in awe of what that
yes,
power has done through
yes,
me and through others.
yes,
So I know that I am part of a larger movement that is taking place,
yes,
and as we are challenged this
yes,
year with all the politics and all the social
yes,
evils
yes,
and all the discord, you know, that seems to divide us, I can still have hope. I
yes,
can still know that, beyond this place, there's
yes,
some good news
yes, yes,
and some very good news.
yes. I mean, you just need to tap into it once, and then it's like understanding and then application, practicing something different, and seeing the benefits of it, and I always tell people that, I'm addicted to the good life.
Yeah,
And that's
I hear
just
you say that all the time.
yeah, I'm just because I get to that place where I'm living at the level of my need.
Hmm.
Things have changed for me, and it hasn't, it's not physically. You talk about it earlier. It's a spiritual change that has happened, that I get to embrace today, And man, I'm telling you, this life is beyond my wildest imagination. I'm not, I was telling one of my sponsees, that it's not really it's not really about um, what you can get out of this. What you can get out of this is gonna come to you. It's in proportion to what you put into it. If you put into it, then you will get out of it the rewards. And a big part of it is the goodwill that we talk about a lot of times, and service, and our community, all of that rise to freedom,
Yes,
you know.
yes.
So
So Roy, I'm I want to be cognizant of your time. And I am truly grateful to have this opportunity to speak with you tonight. Um, but I want to have just a couple comments about how how to help younger people focus more on practicing clarity and conscious thinking and how do I want to put this? Critical thinking, selfless service, and critical thinking. We've got all of these social media now, and it's taking people in so many different directions. How do we stay focused on selfless service in the midst of all of these things? What is your suggestion? What would you say?
So the organization I go to have a lot of young people that show up there, and they have been for ever showing up there. Today I get to demonstrate. I get to show them. I get to show them because, and I get to open my mouth and not just kind of like, maybe not, I get to talk about the positive stuff that has happened for me, so they can think about it, that it's not really, they don't have to go to great extremes or great lengths, but they are surrounded by some people who've been doing something that speaks to them living life on life terms, and that they can do it too. And sometimes it's really hard for me because when I was the age I see some of the younger people at, when I was their age, I was not thinking of, and then you look at the complexities in terms of how they live and who their role models have been, whether they've gone to school, and, how do I get them to come to a place where they'll be thinking, okay, but I share that. I offer that information to younger people. I make sure they are welcome whenever I run into them, and if they need some help, because I can do that today, and they can have a longer, much better life. I had always talk about that. So many people who have been down the path that I've been down, young, who have died, and I get to live on, even through the hospitalization we just talked about. I still get to live, and it's what I do with the fact that I come out of the hospitalization. I'm not really like I used to be, but am I gonna sit around and lick my wounds and live in fear and allow my physical as well as my mental capacity to diminish? I'm not doing that. I'm gonna live. That's why I'm here. I'm going to live. And a part of living is to show these younger people that what we're doing work and that it can be done for them. Now, um, some of my challenges, I don't do this kind of stuff really well, like being on the internet, what I'm saying? I can't text fast enough to have a conversation. So, and I'm an older guy. So I I always tell people, you know what, it's better for you to pick up the phone and give me a call. Young people don't do that. They text, so um I can only talk about that whenever I'm in their presence, or whenever I have an opportunity. It's kind of like going to the jailhouse. I always have to tell them, this can be the last time that you come here. You don't have to be a lifelong victim of this kind of situation. You can change this. You can come back here like I do. I mean, I've never gone to jail or to prison. I've been arrested a couple of times, but younger people tends to go there, and it's like not a big deal, where it is a big deal for me. But I've been arrested a couple of times, but I've never spent a night in jail. I'm always out within an hour or so. And so I get to talk to those younger people there, and tell them how to find the organization that I belong to that they can tap into, and find a way to change their life and find support in doing that, in changing their lives. So,
Mhm.
hey, Maurice, oh my God, it's all good stuff. It's all good, positive stuff. I can talk that kind of stuff today because, um, I have experienced change, and growth. And these days, the most of what I have to do is keep doing the stuff I'm doing and look for a way to grow and be vigilant. Just be vigilant about what I do. You know.
Last question.
Mm.
How can we show selfless service toward individuals or groups who hold different beliefs or values than us?
Oh my God! No, I embrace them. I embrace people who are different from me. And if nothing else, my the fellowship I belong to talks about unity. And that's not just unity of purpose, but um, uh, unity, um, collective unity, where everyone belong. We have a neutral thing, so nobody have to feel insulted or feel less than or feel like, this doesn't work for me. Most of what we do is neutral. We're not pivoting to one religion or another organization. We're not doing none of that. Everything is neutral. And so I do that really well. I can embrace everybody in spite of the differences that sometimes we find, you know. And again, similarity, so
The spiritual principles levels the playing field.
yes, it does.
And, all the things that might come through religion or lack of religion get brought to a level playing field where we can
Yes,
all speak to each other as human beings,
yes.
spiritual beings having a human experience. And thank you, Roy, for coming out tonight and sharing your experience with us and how you practice um, this principle of selfless service.
Yeah.
I believe a lot of people will be moved by your experience,
Thank you.
and you will help more people than you ever dreamed possible.
Thank
That's
you.
one of the good things that comes through practicing uh, selfless service is that you never know who you're helping.
Exactly.
You never know. You
You
know,
never know.
only God knows.
Yeah.
We sit in these rooms and we talk about our day-to-day life experiences and never actually know who's helping us.
Right.
There's people that, I have used as silent sponsors for years.
That right there. That right there. Yes. Yes. Yes.
they they have no idea.
They have
you
no
know.
idea. Yeah. So you did ask that question, and thank God I am not looking on differences. I'm looking at the similarity,
Similarity.
and be grateful that, whatever the differences are, we get to a place of common ground.
Yes. Our
So
common welfare should come first.
yes, should come first.
That
Yeah.
is our first tradition. Yeah, Roy,
Well, thank you for asking me, Maurice.
love you, love you, love you.
And I love you too. It's coming right
Um,
back at you.
I
Enjoy the
wish
rest of your
you
evening.
wish you peace and a wonderful rest tonight.
Thank you.
Um, and we will talk soon.
Take care.
Take care, Roy. Thank you for listening. I'm grateful for the opportunity to give you an insight into how we may practice these principles in such a way that freedom comes to each of us. It's a commitment that I hope each of you can make to this practice that I know has set me and others free from the chaos and the confusion. Thanks for listening.